man. So next phase, you guys built the real estate brokerage in Tampa. Very successful. Ended up like training a lot of agents, bringing a lot of educational value from the investment side to that space, creating a great culture, a really cool brand. I mean, there was a lot involved in that. The events you guys did, the community. I mean, I remember we flew down for a couple of them, and you guys had massive parties and like did really cool stuff. Really changed the space and made a huge impact in a very short duration of time. From there, you made some other transitions. I mean, you started a property management company eventually. I remember that you also got involved in the mortgage space, and then eventually you started buying insurance companies and building a book of business in that space. So, like, talk about this next phase. So, we talked about the beginning of the life, all the entrepreneurial experiences, college, the massive transition to Florida, brokerage is established. Now, where have things gone from there?
So,
and that was what, 10 years ago, I think?
How long we moved there?
Yeah.
It's been about 10 years.
10 years. So we're almost
exactly
a decade,
10 years. Yeah. And we had the brokerage for about 8 at this point. So you just, same thing as finding clients, same thing as booking paint jobs. You go find realtors, and you find realtors that you can help with a brand, with a structured foundation, with training. I would go door knocking with 5 or 6 of them, teach them how to do all of that stuff. Cold calling. I had guys in a back room, like flying drones while they're on headsets, 3-line dialer with Mojo, like just ripping through phone numbers. And a lot of my agents were doing real estate transactions too, acquisition deals. So dropping note cards, wholesaling, buying rentals, and they still do now. Some of my top agents are developers now and investors. We recruited around 230 agents during the course of time, and we have about 85 licensed agents currently with us now. But what I realized is when you get into real estate brokerage, there's actually not a lot of money in real estate brokerage. It's a very competitive industry. There's a lot of brokerages. There's a lot of good brokerages. Ours was unique. It was young, trendy. I don't know anyone else that had a 30-year-old real estate broker. Maybe not even that, might have been 28. And so you realize that just being a brokerage isn't quite going to get the job done. Like, really, it's the ancillary businesses that produce the net profit. So I've been dabbling and looking into some other businesses. The big one was lending. So I actually became a licensed MLO and was writing loans for a few years. Tough business, but made a lot of money doing it. The other one was insurance. And this is where the spark really lit, because insurance is a financial business, financial service business. Starting an insurance agency, like anything else, is a grind. You think, oh, this is going to be great. You sell a home policy. We obviously have a bunch of home leads because like all of our agents need an insurance agent. So we could turn the lead flow right on. But the average commission is like $100. And so really getting off the ground is really hard. And we did. We know how to grassroots start an insurance agency. I partnered with a really good friend of mine who's fantastic, and we just hit the ground running. We got our first appointment, but what we realized is that we're not going to get anywhere with organic growth. We don't have a top salesperson. I'm doing other things. She's more of doesn't want to do like heavy sales like that, and neither one of us were really fit for that. So what do? I looked into acquiring insurance agencies, reviewed it, researched it a little bit. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to blast out some letters out there, reach out to some agencies I know, and see if anyone's willing to sell their insurance agency. Because we might not be able to grow it very fast organically, but we could grow it pretty fast if we acquire. And like, I'd rather acquire an insurance agency, which is a huge amount of cash flow, than even commercial real estate at this time. Like, this is something that will just keep adding to the income statement.
It's kind of like the corporate model.
It is.
Mergers and acquisitions, you buy cash flow.
What's beautiful about buying a business is the business you buy. First of all, they're a lot heavier cash flow, a lot higher ROI than an apartment building, because there's a lot more risks. You could drop the ball and blow the whole thing up. It's risky. But if you don't, the business you buy pays itself off. So we literally bought 4 insurance agencies in the last 3 years. This is pretty recent. And each one of those sellers was running the agency for around 25 to 30 years. It took that long for them to build an agency that they could sell. And that agency was profitable, but nothing crazy, right? So it's like if we went the traditional route, it would take us 25 years to make any real money in this business.
That's wild.
What's amazing is none of their kids want to touch insurance. Nobody wants to get into insurance. This is home and auto. It is boring. It's a sleeper. And no one wants to get the license. And everyone is like in their 60s that has been in this business, it feels like. So we're getting calls left and right. We're like, we've got some deals to look at. And so
you sent out some letters and get a ton of calls from guys that want to get out of the insurance business. It took 30 years to build it.
There's no buyers. It's like,
it's amazing.
What
a great niche.
Oh, it's awesome. But again, tough business, but what isn't? But what we ended up doing was, since we're meeting these sellers, I was working in some of the financing. So some of the deals I bought in Lansing, Detroit, and in the suburbs were seller finance deals. The first house I moved into in Birmingham, I bought from a seller for $500 a month. It was a home run deal. It was awesome. Beautiful home. I ended up renting that house out for like $1,850 a month, which back then was a lot of money.
I remember that. And then the tenant asked you if they could install a $6,000 privacy fence on your property.
I said, if you pay for it, I'll let you get it done. And they were so happy to do it. That was a great rental. Don't be afraid of rental properties. But listen, if we could do it in real estate, of course we could do it buying a business. And so I worked in some terms that were just awesome. They were great terms. Great for the seller. Again, like, who's buying this business and for what price? Like, I honestly didn't even know what the market price should be. I did a little research on what they kind of looked like out there, and what makes sense. You got to build in buffers, and we came up with a number that works for us, and it ended up being a home run deal. Every single book that we bought. Pros and cons to all of them, but financing them the right way with the right price, the right terms, and the right seller is the game changer. And it was the best decision we ever made for that business.
So I'm sure some people are asking the question, like, why would someone spend 30 years building a book of business, and then why would they sell it to you?
Burnout. I'm 38 years old, and I feel it now. So I can't imagine being 68 years old or 62 years old. Like, they're burnt out for good reason. They worked their butts off. They fought the good fight. Now they need to prepare for something else. They're tired. They want to spend time with their family, their kids, their grandkids. I get it. And so I empathize with them. I create solutions, and we handcraft a deal that works for everybody. It's a win-win.
That's a beautiful structure. I mean, it's amazing to me that you took like the creative strategies from the real estate space, seller financing, all the crazy deal structuring that we learned how to do, and then you're able to apply that to starting to acquire legitimate books of business in a completely different industry.
If there's one theme I really learned, is that if you get the basics of running a business down, there's two components in my mind. There's lead gen revenue and there's operations. You can do those two things in any business. There might be licensing and regulatory requirements. There might be a learning curve. But if you can just focus on those two things and nail both of them, you're going to have a successful business. I don't see how you could fail.
That's all.